Hello, good evening, and happy Wednesday, I think it is. I'm all screwed up
It's
on the
Wednesday.
days because I was working all weekend. I was in Texas. I literally just got back like an hour ago, and I'm leaving again tomorrow morning. So
Sounds
normally
like
we
fun.
do this on Friday nights, but this is the only time I had available until like 2 weeks from 3 weeks. It would basically be the end of May by the time I have another chance. So hello and welcome to another episode of Achievement Chasers. I'm glad we're able to get this get a stream in before I'm on the road again. Hello, dude. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Just had some mic issues that's the reason why we're late. I'm fine with pinning that on me.
Yeah, no worries. It'll probably be a shorter one because both of us don't have a whole lot to talk about.
Nope. Well,
But
one of my games is because it's gonna take a long time, and everyone knows my from January to February. It's just a sequel to that game.
yeah, and we got Carl from RNG Podcast saying, "No YouTube chat. What?
That's
Uh,
weird.
oh, Jason must have." Because Jason did top 5 comedy movies on last night while I was gone. Because last night was supposed to be top 5 Star Wars games, but I was on the road, and so we had to reschedule that for the 14th. So he must have changed some settings and screwed things up. All right, I just turned it back on. Thank you, Carl, for letting me know. If you can check YouTube and see if it's working now, because I just turned it. I think I turned it back on. So if you could let me know, that would be awesome. But thank you for joining me, or us, I should say, for another episode of Achievement Chasers.
Speaking of Star Wars, I don't think I don't think I'll be joining the town hall this week.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna
For
be out of
for
town.
you, it's gonna be out of town. For me, I don't do well at eulogies.
No, yeah, it's like of all things, I want to be there for Star Wars talk, but I will not be able to make the town hall on Friday night because I will be out of town again.
You
So
could always do it from a laptop.
no, I mean like I'm out of town and I'm gonna be busy. I won't have time. So, but we are here to talk about what we achievement hunted over April, and I did not have a lot. So, I have literally like one full game, some DLC, and a couple of random achievements from games here and there in order to fulfill the true achievement targets for the month. So, what about you? What's a summary of like what
I've
you
got
did?
one game that I'm going to be continuing to work on into next month, and the other game I'm still streaming, and that one's being a bit of a I'm not going to say it because I'm on
We'll,
your channel.
we'll get to that. Okay.
And
Well,
I could talk about a little bit about Warframe because there was an update.
okay. Yeah, you want to start off with that then?
Well, I can talk about Warframe even though it's not achievement related. Pretty much they added a new game mode called Deep Art Comedian. It pretty much gives you three random um it gives you random choices of loadouts, and you're supposed to do like three high level missions, and then you get like a bunch of the current end game rewards, and then also has four punishments that you can put on yourself. Now, out of all of this, you can take off one punishment or change out one of the weapons or the warframe, and you can get the true max reward because nobody cares about the actual reward for completing all of it once you've done it once. Because once you've done it once, it's like a currency for an item that someone like me has no use for because I already have everything from that store, and and the cosmetic is just a one time thing. You don't need to continuously get it like Destiny 2's
Oh,
um
how
yeah,
like
it's
I
just
had
one time.
okay. I'm gonna say in Destiny 1, I know it was one time. I never did Destiny 2, so I'm not sure, but I did hear about a controversy of like cosmetics were like a one-time use and you had to buy
Yeah, the
more. I don't
colors. I
know if
think that
that's
was one
still the
Destiny 2.
case. I know it
I
was in
can't
Destiny
remember if it
2,
was or not.
but
I remember that it was a big hullabaloo.
I remember that was a controversy. I don't know if they rectified that or not, but I do remember hearing about that because I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but this is just a ship ornament that you put on your loading screen ship.
Okay.
So you can say, "Hey, I did this," and everyone can see that I've done it. And pretty much makes you really rethink how to build out your loadout. For me and one of my, we have three. I have three people that are three people, including myself. Even though it's a 4-man game, we always have our fourth just randomly leave and not come back sometimes.
Oh,
But then they'll randomly come back like months later and
but you
start
got a
playing
pretty
again.
good
Well,
crew
we
of
got a pretty good 3-man squad,
3-man
so
squad that you usually play with.
yeah.
Nice.
And the thing is, though, one of them he tends to be a bit more varied with his warframes and weapons, but the other guy he is completely set in his ways. He only wants to use one loadout every match. So it's really been negatively affecting him because he doesn't like doing all that. And I'm someone who's really crazy where I'm actually trying to make every weapon in Warframe actually good.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that in
So
previous
so for
episodes.
me, I can tend to find a build that I can use for it. But it's also I have to think about how it. Um, did you hear that this time?
Vaguely.
Gotcha. I was making sure it didn't do too crazy for you
Yeah, no, it
this time.
wasn't loud like that last time that blew my ears out. This time I could
Yeah,
barely hear it.
but maybe my mic issues actually fixed that. but
Blessing in
but
disguise.
part of the fun is actually finding a way to work with your teammates to build the right group together and get it right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it sounds like it puts a new little twist on it to.
Yeah, and I even rebuilt one Warframe in a way that it's no longer just a selfish frame; it's actually a support frame too. Let's just say I give 600. I make everyone's weapons do 600% damage.
Oh,
So
dang. That sounds nuts.
yeah, some weapons need it at the level that you're at whenever at this for this mission.
Okay,
It
cool.
is the highest starting level of any mission with at 400.
So, overall, are you enjoying the new update then?
I am enjoying it, but it's something you only do like once a week, so it's not like anything crazy.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it came with another. Oh no, wait! It came a couple weeks after another update where they added a new Warframe and repurposed an old mode in the new tile set.
Okay.
They tend to do that a little bit, but I do like how they've been repurposing some. They've been redoing the way they think drop tables because now they make it so that whenever a mode like this comes around, every time you do a rotation, you get like a currency that's just for the store, but it's for the random items you would get at the end of each of those missions. So if you have really bad RNG, you can eventually you could just build up that currency to get what you were missing.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it makes it so you feel like you have an end to the grind.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's not
So
like, oh yeah, I just have to keep on running this over and over
until you
and
get the
over
one
again.
drop that you want or
Yeah,
something like that.
it alleviates the bad RNG in a way
Gotcha.
that it actually feels fair.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Cool.
Let's just say I grinded out that entire update and within a couple hours though.
That does not surprise me. So, all right. So I will kind of start from the beginning of the month. So, I finished up getting my 100% in Immortals Phoenix Rising. At the end of last month, I think I had just finished the base game. Yeah, I finished the base game, getting 100% on March 24th. And so I basically was starting because there's 3 DLCs, and the first one picks up basically right where the game the story ends in the base game, and so I don't know. I was gonna say during the intro, it's like, man, this went by so fast, but yet it felt like it was so long because our last episode of this feels like it was forever ago for me. So I don't know what I talked about or not. But anyways, because at the end of the game, you basically like ascend and become one of the gods of the Greek pantheon.
I think I
But
remember you saying that last week or
I think
last month.
so.
Yeah.
I talked about it on a number of different of my own streams, and I talked about it on the AH101 podcast when I was on there. So I've talked about it a bunch of times. So I don't know what I talked about where. But the first DLC you're still playing as the same character as the base game, and now you're trying to like you have a bunch of trials to like really prove yourself, to solidify your place in the pantheon of Greek gods. And in the base game, there's all these vaults scattered around the world, and they're very much like the shrines in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Some of them are puzzles, some of them are combat, some of them are mixed, and you have to use all your different abilities to be able to solve all the puzzles. In this first DLC called A New God, it's basically a bunch of those vaults, like turned up to 11. There's very little combat in any of them. Mostly all like traversal and puzzle solving, but they're actually like difficult. Like some of them, I actually had to look up the solutions to, like 2 or 3 of them, because I have no idea how to solve.
So they're
this
not like
one.
the shrines in Breath of the Wild where you have like 10 different solutions,
Right? So
or 3 different solutions that the developers didn't even think of.
no, definitely not quite like that, because you can't be as creative with your solutions as you can in Zelda games, because you don't have quite the plethora of tools at your disposal. But the shrines in the base game are typically not very long. They're like 10 to 20 minutes at the longest, I'd say. And some of these challenges that you have to go through are typically kind of start at that length and go longer. So some of them are kind of long. And there's like 24 of them. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. I'd say very middle of the road, but it was one of the cool things was they added a few new abilities. Unfortunately, those abilities you can't use back in the base game. It's only in that DLC. But yeah, so that was the new god, and I completed that one. And basically, you just have to complete all of those challenges. Each one has a hidden chest in it. That was actually the difficult part, not actually getting through the challenges. It was usually some of them. It's like, how the heck do I get over to that chest with the tools at my disposal? So that's where I had to look up a couple of the solutions. But in order to get all the achievements, you do have to get all of those chests. There's one in each one, and they could be anywhere. They could be right at the beginning, or they could be right at the end. So if you're doing it, make sure you get the chest in the first time, because you can always come back. But if you have to come back, you have to go through the whole thing again. So if it's right at the very end, then you have to play through the whole challenge again.
Oof.
So that was the first DLC. The second DLC was I did start to talk about it because I remember I was talking about what I think the DLC was about. That was myth or myths. I don't remember if it was plural or not, of the Eastern Realm, and it's based on Chinese mythology. Because I remember you asking me are you sure it's Chinese, not Japanese? No, it is very much Chinese mythology, and it's basically like the base game kind of shrunk down into a DLC. Except it's, like I said, it's new mythology, new characters, but all the mechanics are basically the same. It's just like a new coat of paint on it. So that was pretty enjoyable. The most annoying thing about it was that it was very backloaded on the achievements. So the DLC took about 10 hours, and I got all of the achievements in the last 8 to 10 hours. So like the first 6 hours of that DLC, I didn't get any achievements.
That's kind of that's kind of like most Assassin's Creed games, isn't it?
A lot of them, yeah, because there's like, usually an achievement for like completing each of these different like quest lines and collecting everything. You usually get those kind of all around the same at the very late in the game. So kind of like that. But like I said, it wasn't terribly long. It's just I was gonna hop in one night. I'm like, oh, I'll get the first achievement in the DLC to show that I started the DLC. But I'm like, looking through the achievements, I'm like, oh, you got to play through a good chunk of the DLC to get any of these achievements. So, but
not even just progression ones.
yeah, I think the first one I got was a story one that was like beating the second to last boss in the story of the DLC or something like that.
That's also the same as the Virgil DLC for DMC5, which I will talk about in a little bit.
But yeah, it was pretty good. It was just more of the base game, just with a new coat of paint, and I really enjoyed the base game, and I enjoyed the Myths of the Eastern Realm DLC. And then the third DLC was it's confusing because it's got a very similar name to the first DLC.
That's the
Because
Egyptian one.
no, so there's a new god was the first one. Myths, plural, of the Eastern Realm was the second DLC, and the Lost Gods is the third one. There was no Egyptian one. I was
Oh, okay.
thinking that there was. What I think it was is that they were planning on going with Egyptian for the sequel, but that got canned, so we're never going to get that. The third DLC, the Lost Gods, not to be confused with a new god, is uh you play as a new character. I think what they were going for was that this was going to be kind of the DLC that led into the sequel, and you were going to play as this character in the sequel. That's just my guess, because now Phoenix, who's the main character that you see on the cover with the red hair on the cover of the game, she's a god in Olympus, and she recruits her own champion, because the gods have rules about like interfering with mortals' affairs and stuff, and so
Makes sense.
she communicates with a mortal and kind of guides her to save this couple islands. But the thing is that the camera is locked in an isometric view. You can rotate it around, but you can't move it down to see out. So you're often having to, like, here's your character kind of looking at it at an angle, because with a square TV, your corners will give you the most like distance to be able to see. So that was the most annoying thing about it, is just the camera's locked at this isometric angle, so you can't see very far.
Makes it feel like a different game, though.
It did. I was thinking that it was, because I remember when I heard about the DLCs back when the game first came out in like 2020, that one of them was a bit of a shift of not. I was thinking that it was a genre shift, but once I played it, it's not really a genre shift, because it still plays almost exactly like the base game does. There's new mechanics introduced into it, but like your combat and stuff is all very similar. It's just the camera angle is locked. But I was thinking that it was like going to be a twin stick shooter. You could, once you get the bow, you basically could play it like a twin stick shooter, but the bow is so weak that there's not really it's better to play it more like a Hades type game,
I haven't
with your
played
hack and
Hades, but
slash.
I've seen gameplay of it, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, but it's it's locked in an isometric.
I do think
But
I have it
it's
physically though, so I have that at least.
okay. But you'd want to play it. It's not that fast paced, but that's kind of how you'd want to play it. But the most annoying thing, well, second most, because the camera was really annoying and that took a while to get used to, because it's like I want to be able to see where I'm going, but you can't see very far. And the most, like I said, you kind of want to move it so that the corner of your screen is kind of directly, well, you can't move it, but you know what I mean. If you're going straight, you kind of want to go at an angle so that you can see farther where you're going, because you get more distance by
I think I could
looking
get
up
used to that.
the camera, the corner of the screen. But the second most annoying thing about the DLC was that they added all these new mechanics, in that you have to you get these. It doesn't even tell you what they are, but as you're defeating enemies, things will drop, and it says you got this, and doesn't tell you anything about it. And all of your items have like between 3 and 5 slots that you can equip these just colored diamonds. They're in the shape of a diamond. They're basically just like red or orange, and they're just in the shape, not like a diamond, like the rare achievement symbol diamond or like a gemstone
Yeah,
diamond, but like a rhombus.
gotcha.
And it doesn't tell you anything about them. So I was playing through like half the DLC. I'm like, what the heck are these for? So I finally looked it up, and you have, depending on what slot you put it in, will give each of the items that you equip it with different abilities, and each color does something different. So putting a red one in this item in this slot will do something for this item, but if you put it in the same slot in a different item, it'll do something totally different. And that's how you build up getting more chunks of health and more chunks of stamina, because in the base game, you just earn it by collecting items and then going back to like your base and then upgrading. This one, you have to equip them to increase your stamina and health and how much damage you do. And you can use that to really customize kind of like your play style, whether you want this to like chain lightning or do corrosive damage or stuff like that. But it didn't tell you anything about any of that in the tutorial. It was just like you have to figure it out yourself. So I got pretty far into the DLC before I started experimenting with that, looking up what these things did. Because I was like, why am I this far into the DLC and I still haven't gotten any more health or any more stamina? It's like, oh, you got to equip this stuff to all these different slots that you have that it never told me about. But overall,
hey, you almost beat the entire DLC on challenge mode.
essentially. The one other thing was there was a section where you were supposed to climb up to the top of this mountain, and I like fell, and there is fall damage because in the base game you get your wings like really early, so you can always like glide down. This game in this DLC, I don't remember if you actually got any wings at all. Because I remember falling and like taking damage or even dying a number of times, but I got like in this area that like you're not really supposed to be in until later, and I literally got trapped. So I was running around for like a half an hour trying to figure out how to get back, and then I died and I lost everything and went back to my last save because it's not roguelite, but if you don't go to save points, everything you collected since your last save point, you'll lose that. You don't keep it. So I lost a bunch of stuff, and I was really pissed about that after like getting trapped in this area trying to figure out how to get back, and then these higher level monsters killed me in a couple of hits. After I finally found my way back, I'm like, oh, finally I figured out how to get back to where I needed to go, and then this douchebag killed me. So I was not happy about that. But overall, that DLC, The Lost Gods, most people don't consider it very good. Because I had heard that it wasn't very good, I wasn't expecting much out of it. I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And so I finished that up and got the last achievement in that DLC, giving me the 100% in the game on April 10th. And so I finished that up. But I started, I've been playing that for a couple months. Let's see here. When did I really dive into it? February. I started it late February, so it took me a
Started
while
seriously
to
in February, anyways.
Yeah, started. Yeah, I got my first achievement in it in January of 2021, but like I said, I got achievement here.
You've been using it for bean dives, so
well, for contests for certain achievements that I needed to fulfill certain requirements. So when I started it over, I had to play a good number of hours until I got to a point where I could get an achievement again. And I was like, all right, I'm playing through the game now. And that was in late February. So I've marked that off my list. I have 100% in it now. And I am disappointed that we're not getting a sequel. And people have been saying, Ubisoft has been getting a lot of crap lately, but that was a somewhat recent game, came out in I think 2020, and I give them credit for trying something a little bit different, and didn't like I said, it's not getting a sequel. Unfortunately, I'm kind of bummed about that, but I'm glad that they tried something new, and it was an enjoyable game.
Now just be prepared for modern female audience number 999 for Star Wars.
Oh, for Outlaws. Yes, that's why they've been getting so much heat lately. Because Outlaws. I've been kind of out of the loop, so I totally forgot about that. So
I'm not getting it, so
yeah.
I still haven't even picked up Stellar Blade because of the censorship nonsense.
That's right. I remember you saying you were.
I did sign the petition, but I did say I would buy it if they reverse the decision.
Okay. So yeah, that was that, and I've got one other thing that I played from start to finish, but I will let you go before I do.
Since I mentioned it earlier, I was going to talk about it last, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about Devil May Cry 5 again. I've been streaming it, still streaming it. I'm still trying to get through the Dante Must Die mode.
Have you gotten through chapter 10?
I did, but I just said screw it when I finally finished it because I only got to be on DMD.
Ouch.
And I'm like, I'm not going to deal with it now because there is one more. I think there's like one more upgrade I need for each character for the achievements, and I finally bought one of them, and that was for Dante because it was better for Dante than the other two because I can get S ranks with them eventually. But they made it so there's 3 million red orbs for getting their super taunts, but you could also pay real money for them. By
Oh,
the way, the achievement requires you for unlocking all their skills also includes this one.
so it's well, I guess I was gonna say it's basically forcing you to pay, but you can use in-game currency. You don't have
Yeah,
to use real
and
money.
I heard that the Bloody Palace unlocks it for the character you beat it with, but I just don't want to do Bloody Palace just yet. But because I want to unlock the super costumes so that I can use infinite Devil Trigger while I'm doing that, because that doesn't hurt me at all. And but the thing is though, this time around, I don't just have to go through it once. I have to go through it with each character. And there's 3 characters in the game already, because you got Nero, Dante, and V.
Okay.
And for definitely for V, I want to have this super costume, so he has Devil Trigger infinitely, so I can always have his nightmare out. So just gives you an extra person that the enemies will go after, and it makes the
Okay.
bosses much easier.
Gotcha.
So that'll make V's run much easier. I think I can eventually do it with Nero and Dante without it, but from what I've heard, there is a floor that has 3 of the Furies on it at once, and that's the
That
enemy that teleports throughout all over the place.
oh
Thing
fun.
is, though, I have a decent way of handling them with Dante. It's more that it's more for V and Nero that I'm going to be more worried about, because Dante with his nunchucks, I have a way of actually having an attack constantly out, so I can parry their attacks easier. But with Nero and V, it's going to be a bit more difficult. Hopefully, with V, they go after the pets more than me.
Okay.
Because also with Devil Trigger, if Devil Trigger active at all times, the pets are immortal.
Nice.
So, but that's that. Then of course I'll eventually have to do the Virgil stuff. But Virgil is a bit more for Virgil you have to replay through the game as Virgil, like all of the campaign missions. Luckily, it just asks you to play through the game once. You also have to unlock all of his skills. And there's like one or two specific achievements based on on a requirement. Like you have to beat mission 19 with only his Yamato, which is his
And
sword, and
okay.
which wouldn't be too difficult. But and then also you have to beat Bloody Palace and unlock all his skills. So stuff like that.
Because you said you had to do it with all 3 of them. Didn't you have to do it with all the characters in the previous ones as well?
Nope. Well, the first game that it had it was Devil May Cry 2. Even though there's 2 characters you can play as, the achievement said only asks you to use one character.
Oh.
Thank God, because that's the one I did the 10.5 hour stream for. And
That's right.
because it required you to go to over 9,000 floors or something like that.
Jeez.
Luckily, you could go up 100 floors at a time,
Oh, okay. So
it wasn't nearly as bad. But towards the end, it started getting ridiculous, and it's because I didn't bring enough items with me. I literally had a floor where I was one hit away, and like over 8,000 that I could have died at if I took one more hit.
whew,
So,
bet you were
and then
sweating.
Dante and Devil May Cry 3, they only require you to go through Bloody Palace as Dante, even though you can play as Virgil.
Oh, okay.
And Devil May Cry 4, the base version on 360, you only have to go through it once, and it's better to go through as Nero because everything is designed around his combat more than Dante's.
Okay.
But I think I've read online that the special edition adds 3 more characters, and you have to go through Bloody Palace with all 5.
Okay. I think I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, so luckily I did the 360 version. Even though I had to get S rank on the 4 main difficulties, those S ranks were way nicer than Devil May Cry 5's.
Yeah. Sounds like
Because
DMC5 is
as
going
I'm
to be
going
like
through
man.
this game's Dante Must Die mode, which is the hardest mode, that's not one of the meme difficulties. I'm finding that some of the enemies are just way too tanky, They just take so many hits that you're you're constantly welling on them for like 5 minutes before they're dead.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to use the same combo over and over again, or the same set of combos over and over again to keep the style high, but also still doing enough damage with them not being able to retaliate. Because one of the annoying ones is the I don't remember the exact name of them, but they're the ones with the butcher knives. And if you hit them with an attack that pushes them away, they will actually go into a berserker state, and you can't do anything with them, until after their next attack. So it's
you
kind of
want
annoying.
to finish him off before that happens?
Well,
Or
you just have with Nero. What you can do is you can actually use his grab attack after that you get after you beat the game, and that the slam attack after the grab, it doesn't it causes them to go on the ground, but it doesn't cause them to go into that state. So what you can do is you can abuse that to constantly keep them in there, but eventually, if you combo them enough, they'll go into the state on their own. And then, of course, in this difficulty, everything goes into a double trigger mode at a certain health level.
Okay.
And the double trigger mode makes them take less damage per hit, and it makes them be able to just power through certain attacks. Like if it's like a normal attack, you have to hit them with like a finish, the final hit of a string to actually knock them away.
Make them like stagger.
Yeah, it's like you going into double trigger mode, which is the super mode. But of course, luckily, whenever they're in that mode, they're still susceptible to pulls and grabs.
Okay.
And when they're in the air, they tend to take the same hit stun, which is really nice for one of the returning enemies, which are the riots, which are the lizard guys, because they just go into double trigger like almost immediately after you've hit them a few times.
Oh.
So it's like, okay, I'll keep one in the air and then just not have to worry about the ones on the ground trying to hit me. Because if they're not on the screen, they can't attack. They can't start their attacks.
Oh, nice.
That's how most of the Devil May Cries have done that.
Okay.
So that's always a trick. And in this game, the camera is a bit more on your. You can have way more control over the camera in this game. So you can only care. You can actually do it in a way you can only care about the one that's in the air in front of you. So you're not constantly getting hit.
Not exploit it, but use it to your advantage.
Yeah, the sad thing is there is one really annoying enemy that kind of ignores that sometimes. And they're one of the ones that teleports, and also whenever they go into double trigger mode, they do not flinch like at all.
Oh.
So they're really annoying. And even like the people who are really into this game and like the S ranking, they're like, yeah, this enemy is trash. Then there's another enemy called a behemoth. Those things are just tanky for no reason whatsoever. To the point where even in double trigger, that you're just going to be wailing on them for tens of minutes, almost. Luckily, these S ranks don't care about time.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
They just care about style, but again, like I said last time, it's average based on your fights. So you're actually encouraged to skip fights, and if you screw up one fight, you can really ruin the entire run.
Yeah.
And also, the higher ranks require higher style points. Because I think in the lower difficulties, I only need to get like 5,000 points, and I would get the S rank. But now I need to get over 6,000 on the highest rank, which kind of makes sense because you're having to do way more damage per enemy, so you're going to be comboing more. But it's still kind of annoying because it also feels like I can only get it with getting the no continue bonus. And it feels like some of them you can only do it with a no hit bonus.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous. I mean, I'm gonna have to do the no hit bonus anyways on the hell or hell mode.
Yeah.
Because of the way that game even though the game gives you 3 continues per like all the previous games, I've heard that the whenever you get hit and use one of those, it counts as you continuing, which is crazy because it's never done that before. In the in all of the previous games, I could see even in the DMC reboot one, I could actually see myself doing the triple S ranking on Hell or Hell if I wanted to.
Oh, okay. You didn't
Because
have to, but
if you get hit, it doesn't count as a continue or a death.
okay.
So
Now
it
I got you now.
so it wouldn't cause a penalty. It would just be like you got hit. You just lose some style point. You just lose your style ranking a little bit, and you get back up and you try and you continue on. But in this one, it counts as a continue.
Okay.
So because that you lose that 1.2 times multiplier.
Oh, and that just ruins it.
Yeah, and luckily it is based. The enemies are based on the Son of Sparta mode, which is the difficulty under the Not Must Die. So I don't have to worry about Devil Trigger and some of the crazier stuff. But I still have to deal with certain enemies, like the Furies being in places you don't really want them.
Okay.
Like there is a way for Nero to beat the Fury without really trying, because he has the Devil Breakers, which are the prosthetic arm he has throughout the game. Because at the beginning of the game, he actually had lost his arm.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think I remember seeing on the cover that he's got like a demon arm or something.
It's a robot arm.
Robot arm. Okay.
And 5, the demon arm was taken from him before the story started.
Okay.
And the first level, he doesn't even have the arm at all, so he's just using the sword and the gun. But after that, he gets the robot arm from one of the new characters, and and there's different attachments for that arm, which gives him a bit more of a customization than what he had in the previous game, because he had like no real customization like Dante does with all the styles and all the different weapons he usually gets.
Oh, okay.
So it made Nero feel kind of one note. So that's why they decided to give him these. I think that's why they decided to do it this way with the robot arms. And each one has a
variety.
Yeah, they have a different attack, and they all work with the B button, but they also have a super attack that will destroy the arm whenever it's used. So like one of them, the one for the what I'll use for the Fury is the one that stops time, and I'll supercharge it, and it causes the entire area to not be able to move around. And I'll use another charge to instantly kill the Fury in one hit, even on the highest difficulty.
Nice.
It doesn't give you a ton of style, but it doesn't give you so little that it negatively affects you, because it still brings you up to a B or an A. And I don't think they ever think that you're gonna do a large amount of style against these guys anyways, because it's usually just one enemy. So
okay,
that you have to fight. So luckily, I can cheese them with Nero during the campaign stuff.
So how is your overall progress on DMC5?
On Dante Must Die, I am currently on the boss rush at the end of the game, which is mission 17 through 20, because you pretty much you have your last fight against Urizen, which is actually the only fight I don't mind as much, and I've gotten stuck on him because I might have to look it up before I start streaming tomorrow night, because I didn't stream tonight because of this. But I'm able to get to his final phase without continuing, and then I just cannot find any openings in that final phase, so I need to look up to see what I can do to open them up a bit more. But after that, I have the hardest mission out of these to S rank, because of it's just really really tight on the restrictions, and it's the fight against V's pets, and it's just because of how much that goes on in those fights that it's just ridiculous. And it's one of the missions that everyone complains about when it comes to S ranks too. Okay. So let's just say it's one of those ones that people just tell you just use the hat and cheese it. So, and then literally the next two missions is just fighting Virgil as different characters.
So it sounds like you're getting pretty close to being done.
Well, I still have to do the S ranks on some of these missions, because a couple of them I just skipped over because I was like, okay, I completed it without continuing, and I didn't get the S. I'll come back to it later.
I'll come back to it later.
The sad thing is each one of the ones that are hard is either the one with the pets, or it has a Urizen fight at the end. Now, I think you heard me say I do not like the Urizen fights.
Yeah.
The only one that I'm okay with is this mission 17, and it's because it's only the Urzen fight, and most of his moves are actually readable. So it's not nearly as bad as the whenever he's in the chair, where he's constantly using range attacks. And same thing with whenever the first fight, the fight's out when he gets right out of the chair. So, and that's because he has tentacle attacks that just are not very easy to read.
Okay.
Because of the way the camera works and all that.
Yeah. Camera can.
It feels like platforming
pain.
in the first Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Well,
but I still have to go through 2 more difficulties, and one of those difficulties I have to S rank. At the very least, the Heaven and Hell, I do not. That one but then again, that one I'll take like an hour to finish.
Okay.
Because that literally is everything dies on one hit, including yourself. But it gives you some catharsis just killing everything in one hit.
Yeah, it's like
you just gave me all this trouble, and Dante must die. I'm gonna just enjoy this.
Take a load off. All right. Cool. So
hopefully I'll have it done by the end this month.
I think you'll finish it in May.
Hopefully, because then I want to try and beat Donkey Kong Country 3 before Craig does.
He's finally on DKC3. That was.
I'm disappointed because you didn't actually finish Donkey Kong Country 2.
Oh, he didn't 100% it.
You didn't finish the Lost World or the real final boss. He missed content.
Okay, because I watched some of the stream where he got hard reset, and then
then the next stream he decided to leave it up to the chat whether or not he continues on or he goes back and tries to 100%. Of course, chat just wanted it to be over, apparently, not let him actually finish the game. So I'm in chat every time saying Craig didn't finish Donkey Kong Country 2.
That makes a lot more sense because I remember seeing that was recent, and then all of a sudden he was on DKC3. I'm like, how did he get through it so fast? That makes sense.
And also, he increased all the punishments to so high, and even the people who are high rollers were finding a problem to actually throw in their money.
I definitely can't blame him for that.
But because of the way he did the 100%, I don't want to spend my money on the 100% this time, because what if it happens again and it feels like I threw away my money?
Yeah, understandable. So, all right. So, as for me, the one full game I played from start to finish was a game that was leaving Game Pass at the end of the month. And it was a pretty short one, but as I often say, pretty much the only time I really start new games right now are ones that are in my backlog that are going to be leaving Game Pass, because I'm trying not to start anything new until I recover my completion percentage back to where it was when I started my dive, which is 91.5%, and I'm currently at 87. So I'm getting there. But this was a pretty short completion. It has an estimated 6 to 8 hours. So pretty much anything that's under 10 hours, if it's on Game Pass, I'll play it, even if even I don't know anything about it. So, but it was not bad. I didn't dislike it, but that was Ravenlock, and Ravenlock is it's voxel based, but it's not everything is big boxes like Minecraft. So it's not everyone has square heads. They actually look like the creatures and the people would. It's just, if you were to take those, voxels and shrink them down much more, so you could see them, but it's not it doesn't look like Minecraft where, people are actually just stick arms. But it was a light hack and slash. And it was very inspired by Alice in Wonderland, because the beginning of the game, you touch a mirror and you get teleported into this fantasy land where there's an evil queen, and there's all these talking critters like deer and rabbits and cats and stuff. And so you have to go around and basically get these 3 hearts to restore the land the way it was, or something like that. and you get a couple of different abilities throughout the game. It was like a baby's first hack and slash game for the most part, and it was yeah, it was all right, not bad. Um, Nothing really to write home about, so I'll probably will have talked more about the DLC and Immortals than this. Um, but
She's hearing Alice in Wonderlands make me want to go back to Alice Madness Returns.
I've heard that that game was really good. I've never played
It
it,
is
but I've
backwards
heard nothing.
compatible, so.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
And with that game, the first game, it's technically a sequel, but the first game comes as DLC for that game, and it still has achievements, but it's a free DLC. So
Cool.
I think I completed on PlayStation though, so I need to do it on Xbox one of these days.
All right.
It was just one of those times where I was going on a platinum binge.
So, but yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything that kind of stood out to me. None of it wasn't very difficult. I don't think I had to fight any of the bosses more than like 2 or 3 times just till I got their attack patterns down. So it wasn't difficult. But yeah, it was decent. I played that from start to finish. As I call it, I often use the term that Paul coined for panic playing games that leave Game Pass. So I panic played that, and that is for the most part everything I did in May at length. I played a couple of games here. I got a couple achievements in Trials Fusion, Trials Rising, Dead Cells, a game called Knee Deep, just because I needed some achievements for the May targets on True Achievements, which was get like 6 achievements, 6 missable achievements, I think was one of them. And then another one was get 6 secret achievements, I think it was. So I just knocked out a couple of achievements in those games that were pretty that fulfilled those requirements and weren't, I didn't have to spend like hours and hours on. And then because I have been traveling, I started playing some games that have achievements on my phone again. So I picked up Microsoft Sudoku. I've been playing a ton of that on my phone, and I got 5 achievements in that. And I hadn't played that in like over a year and a half. And then in order to help, because I already had most of the achievements in that game, the only ones I have left now are the ones I think I was telling you about, where you have to get like
the challenges the monthly challenges stuff.
Yeah, so I did every single challenge in April, so I got that achievement last night for doing all the challenges in the month. There's 3 a day, so I don't have to do that again now. And because I also got the diamond challenge, which you only have to do once, now I just have to do gold, I think 10 times, silver 8 times, or it might be the other way. Around. I think gold is 8 times, silver is 10 times, and bronze is 12. So I got 1. So I need to do bronze for 12 months, but I only have to do silver for 10 months and gold 8 more months. But it's really not that difficult now that I've gotten in the flow of things.
Makes sense.
And yeah, I like
my on the go achievement hunting is going to be on my Vita.
Okay.
Or on my laptop playing retro achievements.
Because I like to keep my Xbox achievement streak going. I also, this isn't leaving because it just came to Game Pass not that long ago, but I've been using it to keep my achievement streak alive, because I can play it on my phone via cloud streaming, and most cloud streaming games, they have like an Xbox overlay on the screen. This one actually has touch control, so you can touch the screen and do what you want, and that's a little to the left, and it's just a little puzzle game. And I've got 5 achievements in it so far, and I've been using that to keep my achievement streak alive. So for achievements, that's basically everything I played. I do have a couple more things to talk about that didn't have achievements that I do want to talk about, but I'll let you go if there's anything else that you want to talk about.
I got one game, and it's a doozy, because it's one of those games that's going to take me a while. I'm still going to continue it on. It's the next month, but it's Dynasty Warriors 4.
More Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah. Well, whenever all the games get like all the achievements added to retro achievements all at the same time, or all within a couple months of each other, it's kind of like I'm a big fan of this series. I've been a big fan since 3. So, but one thing about this game that I really appreciate that I didn't really appreciate as much back in the day, but I had noticed it, was that as you level up a character, you give them they get points and then they upgrade rank. Pretty much they go from 16 to 0, so it's a revert. It goes in reverse. And
Okay,
when you
gotcha.
as you rank them up in this game, you unlock item slots to put different items on them, which like increases their base stats and stuff like that. But you also unlock costumes, and there's 6 costumes per character. Thing is though, costume 1 and costume 2 are just the same outfit but different colors.
Okay.
Sadly, they didn't start doing it smartly until later, where certain characters were in 2 factions. In newer games, they make it so that the second color scheme actually matches their other faction. Like one character is Zhang He. He was originally under Wan Xiao, but after the battle during the battle of Guandu, he defected to Wei, and then he stayed in Wei until he died. Well, in the game, Wan Xiao is usually his army is usually depicted with yellow armor, and then Wei's armies are depicted usually with blue armor. So he's always had blue armor in the game, but in later games he has yellow. But in this game they don't really look into it as much like that. But it's always a neat detail to look into the later games and see how they change things like that. But because there's even though there's 6, there's technically only 3 outfits because of the coloring, the different color for on 2, 4, and 6. But on the third one, it's actually their Dynasty Warriors 3 costume. But it's not just like directly ported in. They actually reworked it to work with the new model that they made for each character. And they made it colored in a way that it actually works with the new arts, with the different art style. Because each Dynasty Warrior is actually outside of some of the newer ones. Some of the newer ones, they do that. They actually change the art style a little bit. So it was neat seeing three's outfits and 4 looking right in the game. But of course, currently going through the game, I've gone through Shu, Wei, and most of the other characters, and you have to level up their weapons to level 9, which you just get by beating officers. And so, and then once you get them to level 9, you then go to a specific mission and complete certain objectives. That's what you get to level 10. So I've just been grinding out characters and getting them to level 9 so I can finally do their objectives.
Gotcha.
And I've completed like I said, I've completed all of Shu, all of Wei, and most of the other characters already. Because remember in Dynasty Warriors 3, it took me like a month to do one faction.
Yeah.
So I'm finishing up the others right now, and then I'll start on Wu, and I have to go through Wu's Musa mode, which is a story mode. And in this game, they actually have the Musa mode based on faction, not based on character. So it's mainly just me unlocking each stage, and then that's about it. Thing is though, they do actually have the Extreme Legends expansion as the same part of the same set. So eventually I'll have to move over to the Extreme Legends. Just trying to do everything I can on the main game before I switch over.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the Dynasty Warriors seems like it's never ending.
Yeah. Luckily, it seems like most of the grinding will be done on this first disc because most of the stuff I have to do in the second disc is mainly beat each mission on the new high difficulty, because they only have easy, normal, and hard on the original disc, but then they add an expert difficulty on the Extreme Legends.
Okay.
So they ask you to beat the achievement set asks you to beat each level. It doesn't even say which faction either, so just to beat each level on one side to beat it on expert without using the interim save, which means you just have to beat it all in one go. And then get every character's level 11 weapon, which is pretty much doing a specific objective on a specific mission on expert. So
okay.
And then getting an S ranking on each of their new missions that are added in the Extreme Legend. it sounds like more than it actually is compared to what I'm doing for grinding.
I was gonna say compared to the rest of the stuff it's asked you to do, that sounds like a cakewalk.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how hard the S ranks are.
That's true.
It's just more that it's just more I'm built. It's just more like right now I'm just taking a long time to get through the level up process for all the characters. So
Yeah, lots of characters.
I think my biggest problem right now with the game that I didn't really notice when I was a kid is that there is 5 create a character weapons, but there's only 4 slots. So I have to delete a character and then re-level them.
Oh, that's dumb.
With a new weapon. So you can kind of see where the problem would be with it.
That's dumb. So
I don't think they thought about that whenever they made the game, though.
Probably not.
You will hear me talk about this on the soundtrack on a soundtrack night.
Soundtrack stream. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta get going because I got stuff got to get done tonight. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, because I'm starting to travel for work now, I went and got a Switch off of, got a secondhand, so I was able to get a good deal on it. So because I had already had Metroid Dread, I bought it in December when it was on a good sale. I just had nothing to play it on. And the person I bought my Switch from also had a copy of Metroid Prime Remastered. So
nice.
I played through that this last week while I was on the road, and that was great. It was like, sitting down on my comfy couch. It's like, this feels so good. And then,
hey, sometime this year you should be able to play through it again and get achievements this time.
I'm sure hoping so, because I was playing. I'm like, I can't wait to play this again and get for achievements. And then I played through that basically first, because when I first started Dread, I wasn't really feeling it. Now that I've beaten Prime Remastered, I've been focusing on Dread, and the beginning was a little slow, but now I'm loving it. With the exception, I'm not a big fan of the ME parts, but I'm a good chunk of the way into Dread. I've probably got 10, 15 hours in it now, and it's pretty great. So I've been
the last ME is really fun to beat.
So I think there's only like 7 in the game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 left, so I'm a good chunk of the way through the game. But that is,
if I remember correctly, there was a long time in between 6 and 7 that you had to beat.
Okay, yeah, I was playing that because like I said, I just got home today. I was playing that basically on the plane all day, so I was having fun with that. But that is basically everything I played. Oh, and I played a little bit of Helldivers, got a couple of achievements, but I only go in and play that when other people are playing and say, "Hey, come play with us." I don't ever boot it up and play it on my own.
Oh, right. It probably does have achievements on PC.
It has Steam achievements, yeah. So I've got a few Steam achievements, but I don't ever pay attention to the achievements in that game. If they pop up, cool. If not, no worries. That's just a fun game to play in co-op.
I'm trying to move away from doing those co-op games because the achievements in those games tend to be ridiculous nowadays. They tend to rival like Left 4 Dead.
So, but yeah, that is it for me, and we will go ahead and call it there. And I feel
short stream today.
Yeah, a little bit shorter, and I probably won't have. Well, yeah, I don't really have anything planned for May because I'm going to be traveling a bunch more. Other than 2 games that were on Game Pass that are leaving, I'm going to be playing Superland 6 Inches Under and Norco. Superland because it's a Metroidvania, and Norco just because it's a pretty quick completion. I know nothing about it, but that's about the only thing I have planned right now. So I don't know what else I'm going to be playing.
Most of my plan is completing these 2. If I complete Dynasty Warriors 4, I might just go do Super Mario 64 because they did actually remove some of the more annoying achievements and put them in a subset.
Okay.
Because I did try going through Super Mario 64 with the achievement set, but they had the achievements for getting every coin in every level. And it's ridiculous because some of those coins are on enemies and they can disappear and that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There was a couple of levels where it wasn't that big of a deal, but I got stuck on one of them and I was like, I'm done. And now they've actually put them in their own subset. Now it's like, okay, now I'll actually go and maybe I go replay it, but now I got to restart from the beginning because I don't know where my save is.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was only like halfway through, not all the way through.
Well, yeah, we'll see if we have more to talk about on next month. But glad we can make this happen, given that my schedule is very not conducive to having fun on YouTube lately. So,
Yeah.
good. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Achievement Chasers. Always good to talk achievements with you, dude. The one and only dude, 1286. Anyone else? I didn't see any YouTube chats. I hope I fixed it. I don't know. I'll make sure I look at that ahead of time next time. But anyone who came and hang out, whether you said anything or not, I appreciate hanging out with us. We'll catch you next time. See you later, everyone. And in the meantime, game on.